words, this car is just so good. It's amazing. All right, guys, welcome to part 2 of the M2 versus the M Coupe. So in part 1, we did an introduction. We took the M Coupe out for a drive. We learned what we like about it, what the M Coupe is really good at, what it's not so good at. Now we're going to take the M2. We just put the M Coupe back in the garage, so this is a direct comparison. 5 minutes later, we're driving the M2, so we can really see the differences. Okay, now with the M2, unlike the M Coupe where you have to put a key in it and start it, the M2, you can keep the key in your pocket and just hit the start button. I'm sure you guys all know this by now. And then you, whoops, radio came on. And you got a nice deep throaty growl. Whether this is real noise or artificial, I guess remains to be seen. It's probably a little bit of both. Again, very functional gauges. I like big tachometers, big speedometers. You have everything you need here. You can go through your menu button and then you can see the temperatures just like the M Coupe had, so you can go through all kinds of stuff and see your mileage, see your trip odometer, see your odometer. Right now, at the filming of this test, we have 6,500 miles, unlike the 52,000 we had on the M Coupe. This car's been sitting in the sun. It's not 67 degrees, I assure you. Here is your gas meter, and again, like the M Coupe, it has a smaller gas tank. I believe they both have about 13.7 gallons, but that doesn't matter because who cares about gas mileage. Again, you have all kinds of electronics here in this car. You just have the DSC in the other car. Here you can take off the electronics with the off button, or you can go into Sport, Comfort, Sport Plus. So it really can be 3 cars in one. It can be a great GT car, it can be your sport car for your back roads, and obviously in Sport Plus would make a great track car. I have not tracked this car. Let's just see here. We'll go into the and obviously different menus. You don't have iDrives or anything in the other car. Obviously you're familiar with iDrive, so I'm not going to spend time with it. What I like here is the obviously the sport mode. Whoops. You can even make the sport mode if it's the drivetrain or the chassis. Basically this car can be everything you want it to be. So good news is you can have one car that does everything, where you know, the M Coupe is a very single purpose minded car. So let's take the M2 for a spin and see the immediate differences. All right, now we're inside the M2, and actually we had to drive on a real bumpy road off where I live to get to the main road here, and the M Coupe actually felt more composed on it. Now my M Coupe does have some suspension, it's lowered, but all those bumps kind of confused the M2 here, where it was definitely bumpier driving it back to back. Now here, the M Coupe has a much heavier clutch than the M2, so the first thing I notice, the clutch is much easier and lighter in the M2 than the M Coupe. If you've driven an S54 M3, you know the stiff clutch that I'm talking about. This car is just a star. I mean, it's just so good at everything. It's not as focused as the M Coupe, but it's good at everything. So this is the quarterback that can make all the throws. He's accurate. He can throw deep. He can throw short. He can scramble for a first down. The M2 is just an incredible athlete. If you had one car that had to do everything, I think this is really your car. You could, you know, I live up here in northern New Jersey. Why is this guy stopping? You could easily put, you know, Blizzaks on, or your favorite snow tires, and drive this all year around with ease. You can fit people in the back here. You actually can fit adults in the back seat, I would say, if they're under 6 feet tall. So it really gives you a lot of utility, unlike the M Coupe, which is just a two-seater. The M Coupe does have a big trunk. They both have. M2 probably has a bigger trunk, it does. But the M Coupe, it's very accessible because it's a hatchback, so I can fit my big hockey back in there. I take it to hockey all the time. You have all these electronics. Obviously, the M Coupe doesn't have the iDrive that this car has. You can go through all your settings and controls here. So you really can, this car can really do everything you want. You can even change what displays you want to see. Obviously, you have all the modern conveniences. Now, as we can see, with my M Coupe being modified, my M2 actually has Bluetooth. It actually has, you can plug in your phone and, you know, play your music music off your phone. So there are enhancements you could add. You could upgrade the brakes for an M Coupe and make them similar to this M2. So you could make it a level playing field here. The M2 is just every car that you want it to be. So if I put it in comfort mode, it could be a luxury GT car. If you took out some of your co-workers or your wife or girlfriend, you could just say, hey, this is a regular BMW. And in comfort mode, it really is. It's when you go in Sport and Sport Plus where the personality changes. So it's nice to have a car that can have so many different personalities in one. Now, if they only made the M2 for 1 year or 2 years like the M Coupe and only made 678 of them, this car would be a phenomenal car. This car would be trading at way above sticker. Instead of 54,000, it'd be 70 or 80,000, just like the best of the M Coupes. So it's really going to come down to production number of how well the M2 will hold its value in the future. If they make 25,000 of them, it's not going to hold its value too well. If they make 5,000, it may be a car that certainly depreciates slowly. Now, the steering in the M2, which I think is very good for a modern 2016, 2017 car, it's actually awful and artificial when you have a direct comparison with the M Coupe. The M Coupe is so visceral where when I'm driving down these same roads, I just can't wait for the turns because that steering is just so spot on. That hydraulic rack is so perfect. And you don't appreciate how perfect those cars were until you drive a modern car like this, where everything is kind of artificial and electronic. It's just like a more filtered experience. Now the M2 gives you both best of both worlds here, where I like a 6-speed manual transmission, but if you wanted a DCT car, then really the M2 is your only choice. You obviously, that wasn't available for the M Coupe. They only came in stick. Every single one of those 678 S54 M Coupes are stick. So that's one advantage also for shopping one. So say if you're looking for an E46 M3, half of the ones you're going to find, maybe a little more than half, are manuals, and then the other half, or close to half, are going to be DCT cars. When you're looking for M Coupes, even if you were looking for S52 M Coupes, they only come in manuals. So if you find a car for sale, it's going to be a stick, so that's out of the equation. Now we're going through some transitions here up and down roads with elevation changes, and the M2 is driving like nothing's even happening. So I do feel it's filtered compared to the M Coupe, where the M Coupe I felt like I was on the road and my butt was dragging on the road and going through the gears. This kind of feels like I'm almost sitting on my couch in the living room. And again, the M2 is a phenomenal car. For a sports car, it gives you that old school feel, like some of the press has said the M2 is the second coming of the E46 M3, and I think that's true to an extent. But when you get into a car, and that's a good thing, and when you get into a car like the M Coupe, you really see where the lineage comes from, those normally aspirated engines. Now here, the M2 makes a ton of power with this turbo engine at 2,000 or 3,000 RPM. You could easily be in a higher gear. I mean, who would do that? I like to rev it out. But you can easily be in a higher gear and have plenty of power around town. It's probably, realistically one of the fastest cars on the street. And if you look on the overall package, there's probably not a better car for the street. You have a ton of power in all gears. The handling is phenomenal. BMW did a phenomenal job with this M2, and that's why, people are having trouble trying to buy a copy, and dealers are charging markups because that car is so good. Now the M Coupe was the opposite. When that came out, I had bought in 2003 an E46 M3, and when I went to the BMW dealer to pick it up, and that's the car that wound up getting stolen. It was Laguna Seca Blue 6-speed manual coupe with a sunroof delete, and the salesman told me he had just bought a Phoenix Yellow S54 M Coupe in 2000. I don't remember if he said 2001 or 2002. And he's like, he just found one, he couldn't believe it. And when those M Coupe came out, I thought they were ugly. I'm like, who would drive such an ugly car? And now I wound up having the same S54 engine as he did. Phoenix Yellow is actually the rarest color, and they're all S54s. And that car, there's only about 20 Phoenix Yellows, and they're all S54 cars. So if Phoenix Yellow is a loved or hated color, you see one of my other videos where I say why you have to buy an E46 M3 now, and there's a Laguna Seca Blue one like I had in that video, and then a Phoenix Yellow right next to it. And I know Phoenix yellow isn't for everybody, but that is one of the rarest colors for the M Coupe. I came close for an M Coupe of buying Laguna Seca blue one, which is one of the next rarest colors, and unfortunately the seller couldn't make it, and I saw the car and I couldn't test drive it, so I wound up buying the 1M. And then another opportunity came for an S54 M Coupe. I saw that the prices were about to go crazy, and I said, if I don't get one now, I'm never going to get one. So I luckily was able to secure one. Now the Sapphire, there's two blacks. There's Cosmo Black for the M Coupe, and that is an S52 color. And then mine is Black Sapphire, which was only available for the S54s. I believe there were just over 100. If I'm talking off the top of my head, I think 109 Sapphire Black for the M Coupe. And if you see Sapphire Black, and it's a really awesome color when you look up close with the metallic in it. And those are all S54 cars if you see them. So again, back to the M2. This car is just good at everything. I mean, they're not, I can't say enough good things about it, but again, it's a modern car. You're not going to have the steering feel that the M Coupe has. You're not really going to, I mean, the Laguna Seca Blue really stands out in the crowd, and now it's a new car, so I get a lot of looks and pictures from the M2. A lot of people come up to it at Cars and Coffee. And actually here, we have a pretty active M Coupe club, and actually S54 M Coupe club, where we'll actually have a couple S54 M Coupes, one or two, at a lot of our Cars and Coffee, where I may be the only M2. Now that's going to change drastically. When we're shooting this video, it's December 16th, so I know a lot of you keep emailing me. You're still looking for your M2, it's on order, or you're having trouble with the dealer getting your order placed in. That's obviously going to change, I'm sure. Some acceleration here. Now this is faster than the M Coupe, but it doesn't have the drama. If you sit in both cars, this is about a half a second quicker 0 to 60, not even, probably like 3/10. The M Coupe will feel faster just because it's got that drama from the S54, and you're in that tight little cockpit with the ceiling, the roof right over your head, so you feel like you're in a small compact car, and definitely feels faster going in that car. But this M2 is a great daily driver. You could drive this 5 days a week to work and get great lap times on the weekend. You probably don't have to do anything. Maybe if you put on stickier tires, you probably maybe have to upgrade the brake pads if you want to do track days as opposed to autocrosses. The stereo on this car is real good. My M Coupe has an aftermarket stereo. It's okay. This is, you know, if you're an audiophile like me, you'll like this Harman Kardon stereo system. You obviously have a lot of features, like, I don't care so much about features, but most people do. You have the backup camera. You have good navigation, much improved iDrive. So you really can't go wrong with either one of these cars. Now, if you're trying to buy an M Coupe, whether it's S52 or S54, definitely check out the M Coupe Buyer's Guide. There's this guy by the name of John, and he does a phenomenal job. He created the M Coupe Buyer's Guide, everything you need to know, all the production numbers, and any M Coupe for sale in the country he'll put on his site as well. And he knows these cars so well, backwards and forwards. He'll know the previous owners, and he knows which ones are the good ones, which ones aren't. I know I found my M Coupe on his site, not the Laguna Seca Blue one, but I did find his, the black one that I wound up buying on the M Coupe Buyer's Guide. And he was familiar with the car. There's a big fest for the M Coupes out in California every year, and it's called Dork Fest, and it's just nothing but M Coupes. And my car is actually from San Francisco, so it actually had participated in Dork Fest. And I remember when I was emailing John back and forth about my interest in that car, he had said that that car was parked next to him at Dork Fest, and it was stunning. And you know what? When he was right, I wound up finding that car in Connecticut because someone from San Francisco sold it to a guy in Connecticut, and it was only, you know, a couple hours, 2-3 hours from where I live in New Jersey. And everything John said about that car was true, and it was just a phenomenal car. Now going through some back road twisties here, you know, this car is really just handling phenomenal. I can breeze through these turns even with one hand on the steering wheel. That's how good the chassis is. Now here, there's some bumps here on this road, and the M2 just handles it with ease. So with suspension, you know, the M Coupe will get more upset by some of these bumps than the M2 will. The M2, obviously electronics are helping you out. Don't do this on the street, but if you drove the same roads with all the electronics off, you'll see the difference, and you see actually how much the electronics are helping you. Okay guys, it's Glenn from Glenn's Car Collection. Here's the conclusion of New School M versus Old School M. It's a very windy December day, so bear with us here. So let's draw some conclusions based on our driving experience. If you want a car that's easy to drive fast, then your choice is the M2. If you want a new car, your choice is the M2. If you want a car with amazing performance and handling, the best of everything, the M2. If you want a new car that's going to still be under warranty and free maintenance, the M2. If you want a track monster, the M2. If you want to stand out at the car show, the S54 M Coupe. If you want a collectible car that'll only go up in value, the S54 M Coupe. But most importantly, I think if you want visceral driving experience, it's one of the last M cars with a normally aspirated engine. They only made 678 with this S54. I bought this car about a year ago. I would say it went up about 20 grand. You can watch my other videos. I bought this car in October last year, so I probably got it for 10,000 less than market. That's a reason why I went up 20 grand. These cars are probably going up about 10,000 a year. These cars right now, since they're still new, and I know a lot of you have emailed me and you're getting your cars now or you're getting your cars next year, these cars are holding their value right now. This car probably, if I had to sell it, I could probably get most of that 54,000 back, maybe all of it if I tried real hard. But BMW is going to make probably as many as they can sell, so there'll be thousands of these. Will there be 25,000 of them? I don't know, but there'll probably be 10,000 of them during the production run. So in 10 years from now, this will be a $20,000 car, sadly. It'll be a great $20,000 car. But in 10 years from now, this is probably going to be a $100,000 car. So if you had your 54,000, I think it's what you want to do. If you're looking for a newer car or a track monster or a daily driver, this is definitely your car. But if you want to have a great weekend car only that has such a visceral driving experience and will only continue to appreciate, I think this is your car. 678 cars for S54, and again, I'm only talking US production, is very, very low. They sold 10,000 E39 M5s, and we've seen how rapidly they're going up in value. They sold in the United States here about 25,000 E46 M3s with the same motor, the S54. And we see how these cars are starting to appreciate the E46 M3, the manual transmission ones. This is only 678. Maybe with this styling, it's a little love it or hate it, but this car is only going to go up in value. I think the true value of any car is when it's 30 years old. So these cars are only like 15, 16 years old now. I think you got to give it another 15 years, but it'll definitely be a six-figure car. So this is probably the smarter place to put your money. But obviously if you want a daily driver and stuff, certainly do this. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share these videos.